This is Tacos Live with Jay and Jeff. Boys, how are we doing?
Fabulous. We are fabulous in every way. It's Taco Tuesday, and we have a killer guest. Are you kidding? Could it get any better, Jeff?
We do have a killer guest, and I'm looking forward to getting him introduced. I feel great. I just got done doing yoga with our friend Ronnie Wright. It's a fundraiser for PPEF. Got to do a plug for it. No joke, man. That breathing and the stretching, it wasn't really intimidating and hard. I'm all jacked up and fired up to introduce our guests and do tacos. And
I'm going to do some yoga on this taco. I'm going to do some breathing exercises.
Yeah, let's get some tacos up here.
Tacos.
You know, it's tacos are like tortillas doing yoga. Hey, what do you got there, Kirby? Where'd you get that bad boy?
Whoa.
Yeah, this is Doritos Locos tacos.
This is drive-through special, bro.
I actually went Taco Bell, so yeah.
I love it. I love it. You guys, this is a live show, and we thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions for these guys here as they go and talk about the epic branding, just put it right over there in the message section. We'll get to them at the end, but I'm going to drop off, and we'll see you at the end for a bite of those tacos.
Love it. Delish. Thanks, Brandon. That was awesome. So great to have him on there all the time. He kind of keeps us in line, doesn't he, Jeff? Keeps us
And he looks so professional with that blue mic and the whole studio setup he has. Reminds me of our friend Bill. Looks super professional, you know, and that's and we don't at all, do we? I mean,
we're a mess waiting to happen. We're just like about to come off the wheels at any time. Everybody knows it. And every time he says, we're on promo show here, we're in the promo journal, we're in the promo corner, we're in the promo, I'm like, man, this is like, I start to feel a little anxious and I need a taco for some therapy. But I start thinking about the amazing guests, and we've got Kirby Hasseman, the one and only Kirby. Kirby, my goodness, what are you doing? Why are you even on? How did you say yes to this show? Why did you say yes?
No, man, it's an honor. You guys are killing it each Tuesday. You guys have an amazing guest each week, and you've been, I admire the consistency of what you guys are doing, and I love your energy. So I'm honored to be here, guys. I appreciate it.
Man, I once heard Bobby Lee Hugh call you prolific, and I was like, that is a great, and in a great way. Like, I mean, always producing is how always giving is what I think of when I hear of that. So we're thrilled to have you, Kirby. We really are.
Buddy. I really appreciate you saying that.
Jeff, what was your reaction when I said, guess what? We got Kirby.
I was bowled over.
You thought I was
realized, that
I was joking.
That our level of guests, and everybody is special. But it is, I think we're going to get into some things with Kirby, and really, what I think is worth sharing up front is, just about character and caring and being authentic. And, I think there are some drivers in the industry, and, Kirby being one of them. And it's just because of all the things we're going to talk about, like that whole be kind, whatever the heck I'm not going to go ahead, but, just messaging, cool messaging.
It's like we've never done this show before, Jeff. But you know what? The cool part about this is we do kind of freelance a little. I don't know if you picked up on that, Kirby. We don't.
That's great.
I wish we could have come up with something that was like some word like maybe unscripted or something like that. If we had only thought of a great way to produce this show and bring relevant content. But so what we're going to do, Kirby, is we want to talk about you. The spotlight is on you. It's not about Jay and Jeff. It's about catching people in the act of epic marketing. And Jeff, it reminds me of the show we did where we were highlighting what was the can of water
Liquid Death.
Yeah.
Liquid Death. Yeah.
Who does a show on Liquid Death? They're not going to do that on unscripted, I'll tell you that.
No, but I was thinking about marketing, and I was thinking about how Kirby's constantly just slaying it. He's murdering that marketing, and I mean that in the best sense of the words, and I know that's kind of hard to do, but if anyone could do it, it would be you, Kirby. Tell us a little about this logo. Tell us about the legacy. Tell us about how long have you been doing this? It's like I see you every week and I forget, you've been at this a while, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We, I would say, Hasseman Marketing started in 2004. So, it's been doing it a while. Sort of, I was with Lee Wayne, JII, then Lee Wayne, Halo, and then we kind of went out on our own, and we we kind of are a bit of an agency model as promotional products distributors go.
Gotcha.
And it's happened sort of by, I would say by accident, but it's been the market driving it. And so, my background was in video. And so, I was doing the promo side, and then clients would come to me and say, hey, can you do this video? And honestly, I remember one year where I had like 6 different clients come up to me and say, hey, can you do video projects for me? And I'd said no to all of them. I didn't have the equipment yet, and I didn't have whatever. And it was toward the end of 2004, and the 7th client came to me and said, hey, can you do this specific video? And I said, I tell you what, I can if you pay me in advance. And they said, oh, okay, why? I said, because I'm going to use your money and buy all the equipment I need to do the videos. And that's sort of how we kind of launched Hosma Marketing
that's cool
to go. And so, we've, and then as clients have asked for us to add graphic design, we've done that. I asked us to do social media, we've done that. And so that's how sort of the organization has grown. And so when it comes to, our logo, which, you were just showing, I mean, it was, that's something that, I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, I did that in my basement. I kind of sketched something out. And what happened is, I did the little circle H, and it was just that was the beginning of the Hosma Marketing. And through repetition, through time, through whatever, I honestly, it's a happy accident. I'd love to say there was some brilliance behind it. It was just kind of what you said about being out there all the time. The circle H became a little bit of the icon. And so you see it sort of behind me on the wall.
Yeah.
And, we do
like
some
a vinyl graphic behind you. Did you have that installed, or what did you do?
No, actually. So cool. I went on a golf weekend, and I came back, and my wife's and daughters had actually painted everything in here.
Awesome.
And this was actually, they shot a projector up, and my youngest daughter hand painted that.
Oh, that is so cool. Even
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Kirby,
right?
I've been dying to ask you for a long time on this question specific about your logo, because I know you're in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So I, as an outsider looking in and looking through fresh eyes, I see OH. And I'm like, did he plan that? Was that part of the plan? I need to know, Kirby.
Oh.
Yeah, again, as it is the case with a lot of things that I do, I would call that a happy accident. No, that wasn't a part of my brilliant plan. So Ohio State cannot call me.
I love your authenticity and your trusting nature and being honest, because I would have said, oh yeah, that was part of the plan.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I think what happens. You were very kind about saying that I was prolific. I think that a lot of, if I've had any level of success, I think a lot of it's come with being willing to act and act quickly, with the idea that I will act quickly again. So if something doesn't work, I will cover that up with something new, super quick. And so I often say that I generally can outwork my idiocy. And so that's that can maybe be on my tombstone.
I love that. We're going to remember that for a while. I generally can outwork at a pace that's going to cover up my idiocy. I think that's a gift, Kirby. You are, when Jeff said you have special talents, that qualifies. I'm telling you. Well, that's cool. Funny. Thanks for giving us a background. 2004, you're an agency-based company. You're doing more than just promo. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, you're starting to dabble a little bit in-house decoration when it fits. Not that you're like looking to start a whole new company, but
Jay, maybe he wants a DTG machine. He might know a guy.
He might in the future, but in the meantime, you might be doing some dye sub. Who knows?
Yeah. So we and it's funny. So here, let me start it this way. People who say, what's the ROI on content? Everyone shut up and listen. So this is one of those moments where I was listening to Tacos Live with you guys. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember the guest, but they started talking about doing dye sub. And Jay brought up the idea that, that's sort of my area. And it was one of those moments where I'd had that conversation with Jay before, but hearing it on the podcast, it hit me in the right time, in the right moment. And within a couple of hours, I'd reached out to Jay, and we had an extensive conversation about whether sublimation or DTG would be the right thing. So we actually invested at the end of last year into a sublimation printer and heat press and all that sort of thing. This is something we're just playing with, and again, this is how I sort of have done this with a lot of the things in my, in my company, is I try something that I can, won't break the bank. I can try it. If it works, we can grow it. And if it doesn't, it's a really cool learning experience for me. Yeah. And so we've kind of looked at it. We've got this, and we're looking at it as a spec sample producer.
Perfect. Love it.
So we did a mug piece, and Gold Star is really happy because I'm sending them mug orders, because I don't want to produce 288 mugs one at a time.
No, you don't.
but doing them one at a time, I can make something special, give it to a client, and then it creates business for us. So that's where that went.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I said, I hope it's creating business for you, because ultimately that's what I always saw as the on-ramp to expressing your creativity, having way more control, having that spontaneous moment where you could go in and say, I'm going to take the next hour right now, make something crazy, and go drop it off at my number one client and impress the what out of them.
Yeah.
And because you can't do that in a traditional supplier relationship where you're calling, even though we have amazing suppliers that can do things in 48 hours or less sometimes.
Yeah.
Having the control to make one, the power of one.
Yeah.
Kirby, it's impressive to me. It's not surprising to me at all. It's an extension of your creativity. It's an extension of trying to figure out how this fits and servicing your customer base. I love it. I think it's brilliant. Kudos to you, brother.
Well, thanks. Again, it's fun. We actually even created a little shop using one of the common SKU shops where we just did some fun design. So one piece design, so someone could just order, this design or whatever. So, and we can do it sort of on an on-demand deal, so that we just order in a few T-shirts. We don't have to stock a bunch of stuff. And then, that conversation leads to, oh, but can you customize? And so for us, it's just been a fun experiment so far.
Love it. Kirby, you may not know this, but Jeff Solomon has years of experience with screen printing.
Really?
I was an apparel decorator and had a shop, and, I go back a long way with Jay, but I do want to jump in, because what I love about our show is we always try to point the content to what's relevant to the audience. And so what you're sharing here, Kirby, is this another way of doing business, and has to do with being able to do these one-offs, whether they're via sublimation or direct to garment printers, and that you actually heard it on our show is kind of cool as well. I mean, it's not that you wouldn't have heard it elsewhere, but people watching might be going, wow, I never really thought about that could be something I could do that would benefit the business. And obviously it's pretty impressive when you can deliver a one-off as a sample like that, and then go to our suppliers and have them produce the volume. So people may listen to that and go, well, I never really thought about that. And we heard it on Tacos with Jay and Jeff with Kirby. And I think it's relevant. I mean, because that's a new way of doing business. And I think in the new marketplace, new ways of doing business are going to be like the thing.
Yeah, well, I think to your point, I mean, you've probably read the studies where they talk about localizing production on some of the stuff, whether it be 3D printers, whether it be something like sublimation or DTG. And so that was actually part of my thought process is just going, okay, how can I take control of, if someone wants, something, and controlling it. We actually invested in production print about 2 years ago too. So we actually can print, we were printing business cards and calendars and all that stuff in the building. And so this was just consistent with that idea that we're trying to localize some of that production, not all, again, to my point, once we get past 6 coffee mugs, I have absolutely no interest in standing down there and doing that. It doesn't make sense. But if we can create larger volume, and we can, people are visual, but they don't, they really struggle. Yeah. Most customers struggle to, well, what will that look like? And so if you can go, well, it'll look exactly like this, then you can, it just shortens the sales funnel.
Well, obviously I've drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago. I'm super biased on this, but the opportunity for the marketing side is where I find the brilliance, and the prospecting tools that you can out hustle through creativity. And people sometimes don't connect that. They think of the hustle and grind as knocking on more doors.
Yeah.
But if you were doing something that's almost proof that you're a creative, and then you deliver that to somebody, it's like the whole package, because you were responsive. You did make something special. You did build on the power of one. You customized something. You delivered it in a way that was creative, and the messaging was creative. And so who's not going to light up when you drop off something that was made for just that person? To me, it's where all of the lights go on the Christmas tree, not just some of them, it's all of them pop at the same time. And you're like,
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, and again, I think in the final thought of this is just what we talk about. I mean, content created this conversation, right? It created that sale. It created the whole thing. And so I think, again, Jay, you and I knew each other, certainly, but it was that conversation that I heard about that thing. And so rather than, hey, I'm going to call somebody and buy it, I'm going to call Jay and ask questions because I trust him to answer them. And so that's what content can do.
Well, we appreciate the Kirby. We cashed that check and we had a few tacos. You don't have to keep selling me. It's cool, bro. Yeah. No, okay. So look, we've got so much more to go. So thank you for that. That was great. That was awesome. Awesome. Look at this guy. Who is this guy?
A lot younger, right?
He's like 18.
Yeah.
He just came off he looks like you're a Sigma Chi bro at Ohio State. I don't know. I'm teasing you, man. But tell us about this. What is this? You wrote a book? You published an article? This is pretty big deal right here, right?
Yeah. So I wrote a book called Fan of Happy, Life Lessons for My Daughter. So I, like a lot of parents of teenagers, I think, we have wisdom that we would like to share. And those teenagers they're not always appreciative of said wisdom in the moment. Right. And so that was certainly the case for me. And so I would be having conversations and really not the traditional, like I wasn't yelling at my kids or something like that. It was just, they'd be in a sports avenue and something would happen. I think there was a life lesson there. And so after not being able to talk to them about it, they just weren't in a headspace to listen. I decided to start writing them down. And after I had about 50 of them, I was like, actually, I think this is more than just for my daughters. And so the book is, I think, 110 life lessons that I wrote for them, but I think, most people can appreciate.
I love it. As a girl dad of 4, I get it, man. Yeah. It's so cool.
And I've got 2 daughters. One of them's read it. So it's good.
Hey, 50% click-through rate. Come on,
that's not bad. Yeah.
It's some great ratios there. You could build a business on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's one of those that, I say it's one of the books that we actually give out for graduation presents because it's advice that works for anybody. And so,
I think Jeff can relate. We can all relate if you have a teenager, if you have kids, even if you don't. A Fan of Happy. What a great title. Kirby, you're pretty good at this, writing these books, man. We've got Delivering Marketing Joy. We've got the Give First Economy. What's going on? When do you have the time to do this?
I do things in batches. So I think, when I get the inspiration to do this, I sort of set myself a timeline. And then, in the morning when I would be writing blogs or in the evening, I will just try and I'll literally just focus on something like this for a month, 2 months, 3 months or whatever. And it's usually when I've got some sense of inspiration. So Delivering Marketing Joy is just about our industry. It's the book I wrote with end users in mind. And so I've been really blessed in the sense that PPAI has handed this out to AMA. I've had other, competitors.
Wow, that's a big deal, brother.
Yeah. It was really cool. So where they'll buy, they did 500 of them and handed them out to college students and stuff like that. Because it is a piece that's missing, I think, from a lot of college curriculums. And so I've actually had lots of other distributors hand it out to their clients. And the idea being that they're going to be reading advice that distributors are probably giving them anyway. And so it kind of validates what they're being told. And so there's case studies and all that stuff. And then Give First Economy is the most recent one. That one's done really well, just with the idea that I think one of you had said about giving first. It's a philosophy of mine that I think that the most successful entrepreneurs, salespeople, and businesses are the ones that provide value up front, and it builds trust and allows for mistakes when those happen. Unfortunately, you build a relationship with your customers, and that's what that's about.
Kirby, I had a conversation with I will keep them anonymous, but let's put it this way, a top 40 distributor company. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with a key executive, a top executive there, and they were asking me about, I'll put this in Jay's terms. They were asking me for a shortcut. They were asking me, are there any shortcuts for better prospecting through LinkedIn? How can we reach more people faster and qualify them faster? And I thought a lot about this question. And so I'd love to get your take on this. I thought, I understand why they're asking that. Every sales manager, every business owner, every entrepreneur who's got money in the game as a stakeholder always wants it to go faster. I want the return on investment quick. I got to get my cash out or whatever. But I started thinking really hard about this. And I was like, I don't think there's a shortcut to trust. Mm-hmm. I just don't. And so I heard you say that. I was like, yeah, trust. It builds trust. Give value, gain trust. What do you think about that principle?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes that you can circumvent it in one-offs, right? But building a brand takes time. Building a relationship takes time. And I think generally speaking, the answer is no. When you give first, it is a long-term play. And, I had Seth Godin on one time, and he said, about blogging or podcasting or whatever it is, he said the best time to plant an apple tree is 40 years ago. The second best time's today. Right. And so it's essentially, that's the reason to show up on a regular basis, because the shortcut is to do the same thing more and more and more and more, because it gives you exposure to more and more and more folks. And if you do that in a way where you're actually providing value, and you're providing value to the customer, not yourself, which I think is a really important distinction. I think so many times as salespeople and marketers, we really care what we think. We really care what's important to us.
I'm a big deal, Kirby.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But if we create marketing and content with the customer in mind, which with actually solving their problems, the thing I would say is it actually does create a shortcut, because it shortens the sales funnel. Once you get them into your sales funnel, they already trust you, which is a ginormous piece of what you're trying to do with the first 13 sales calls. Right. So if you can get them into your sales funnel through content, they're through 13 calls. And so that's your shortcut. It actually shortens the sales funnel. It still takes time to do it. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. I love it. Jeff, look at this guy dropping these wisdom bombs on us, man.
It's like, there's something I want to add to that.
Fire away, Jeff.
Okay. So this came up in the last SKUCon, which is just a pile of amazing content. It was Ann Handley who talked about this, and she had said, it used to be like you'd want to be doing what you can do to grab the buyer's attention so you can sell them stuff. Right. And the new way is to be authentic and build trust so that you can go at it with, how can I help meet your needs? But you've built trust, and you've done that by being authentic, and you can be authentic through content. And, that's obviously a key way. But I think that this is so important in this marketplace. And so I'm glad that this came up, and we can share this with our Promo Corner Tacos listeners here today. It's like being authentic is so important, these days in this new marketplace. If people just want to, let me sell you this, this plastic thing that's going to go in, fill a landfill, or the other part is the whole eco thing. We don't have time to even go down there, but the savvy buyer, wants to know how it's sourced. And in fact, I just had it. I occasionally do a distributor business stuff, and I had a big aerospace company. A buddy of mine has moved on to another aerospace company. And I mentioned this story. I go, look, we want to do responsible sourcing, and we're going to show you products that you're going to be, pleased to show. And they go, oh, we ourselves are not a government contractor, but our clients, we do a lot of business with the government. They're a big aerospace company, and they care. And so right there, it just changed. No stuff guy is mentioning this. And so I think that's a great takeaway. I'm glad we touched on it here.
A stuff guy. Is that how we're politely labeling them now, Jeff?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's what I'm labeling at today.
I like it. We'll work on that. We'll get with Kirby after the show and sweet marketing magic.
So important.
Known for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Kirby, we're going to keep going. We're going to talk about the books again. But what I want to do is I want to give you a big, huge shout out. This is your partner in crime, as I consider you two, the dynamic duo of content. Yeah. I pulled this off because I saw this last week was episode 330, and I thought, damn, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Damn, 330 episodes. What? That's like, I'm doing the
Bill's
math.
Not happy. Is he tired? What's he doing?
Yeah, I do have to say
330, man. I'm like tired.
I have to say, I could have found a better shot, but I didn't.
Well, here's what I would say. Number one, so this is off of DMJ. This is the one that has been 3:30, and Bill has been gracious to be a guest on this many times. I think a bunch of times. But then, of course, we have done podcasting together. And the reason he looks tired is from carrying me. Like that is like literally, he does so much more.
What a guy. Listen to this guy.
No, for real. Like he literally does so much more of the heavy lifting on the podcast. He does the prep work. He does the ad reads. He is the brains behind that for sure. And I just kind of show up and spout off.
This is me. Jay does this for me. Jay does this.
Okay, yeah. So you understand.
We're like kind of just, okay.
You guys, we would consider you the talent, is what we would refer to you. Okay. So, but my point is that in jokes aside, massive respect for both of you. The content that you put out. Kirby, I know that you do more than just this one podcast. In fact, you do several, don't you? If I'm not mistaken, you've got, and over the years, I've seen a few start and a few end, and a couple more start and a few, and that's fine. And that's not a point of criticism. It's like, I'm impressed that you're constantly evolving and that you've reached out, and that podcasting is a way that you've decided to reach. But I wonder, I'm going to ask you a little challenging question here.
Yeah, please.
And I'm not being disrespectful at all. I just think there are probably those listening that think, well, why would I want to start a podcast that all of my industry is going to listen to? How does that help me?
100%. So so is that the question?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I would say a couple things. Number one, when I started delivering Marketing Joy, it was 6.5 years ago. And so 6.5 years ago to us doesn't sound like it was a long time ago, but I remember coming out with it. I didn't know where it was going to go. So number one, I do have clients that watch it. We have a ton of folks in the industry that do, but I mean, just to give you context, like it wasn't a podcast. It was a video show that people then requested, hey, can you send this as a podcast too?
Great point.
And so, and people said, oh my God, 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, I was reaching out to guests and they're like, nobody's going to listen to something 10 to 15 minutes long. 6.5 years ago was a long time ago from a content perspective, right? Now, all podcasts seem like they're an hour. Like this is a half hour and it's going by super quick. Yeah. So it evolved into having a lot of industry listenership, but I still have clients that are guests, and it's cool. It's really about kind of trying to come up with something that's just interesting. And if you do that, then the audience will follow.
Well, kudos to you, whether you do it for ulterior motives or for the fun of it. I love it. And I obviously I can't listen to every episode, but I listen often. And part of it's just the fun of the guests. And when I saw Bill on there again, I was like, oh, I can't wait to look for a great screen grab. Shine the light bright on my buddy Bill.
Love it.
All right. So moving along, we don't have a lot of time. I caught this picture of you. It looked like this was, I just, got lucky, to be honest. I was going through some of the Delivering Marketing Joy episodes, and you apparently were at a different location and had this killer backdrop. It immediately drew me in. I was like, that's a damn good light bulb. Yeah. And then I was drawn to your shirt. Kirby, you're wearing the same shirt today. What's up with this shirt? Be kind, give first, work hard, repeat. Come on.
Yeah. So here's my thought on this. Number one, I think that we as an industry, we tend to just do logos, right? Normally this would just be my logo, right, on the shirt. And I think that clients, while they like a really nice t-shirt, this is a t-shirt tycoon, super soft, all that stuff, they would wear it. But if it has a message, but then on the back has my logo,
right,
they'll seek this out. I had people offering to buy this because it's a message that people can get behind. I think be kind, give first, work hard, repeat is something that almost everybody can get behind. And then, oh, by the way, my logo's on the back. And so to me, this is something that we stand behind. And so I was comfortable we put it on a t-shirt. We put it on things on these. We put it on pens, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, actually, I have it spray painted on the train. And so, it's just a message I can get behind.
Well, listen, keep it easy. If it's easy for me, it'll be easy for you. And I just love the fact that you're a product of the product, that you believe in the messaging and the branding, that you're more than just logos on stuff guy. Love that backdrop, the light bulb, and just how bright and visual that was. And I don't know if this was like a backdrop you've done for trade shows or for pop-ups, but when I see what people do, it's like they leave the ultimate clues. So that's why I love sleuthing around and checking out your website and your Instagram feed and what's going on Twitter and Facebook. And then, oh, here's this thing called YouTube, and Kirby's got a few videos over there. So catching you in the act of doing great work. And I know that hopefully it shouldn't feel uncomfortable, but Kirby, you are up, like our friend Bobby Lee, who said, you are prolific with the creativity, the content, and the giving of value first. So we have to put the spotlight on you, brother. I hope that's not awkward. It's well earned and totally deserved. Wouldn't you agree, Jeff?
I would. And again, to bring up this idea, and it's come up on other shows, it's not always about the logo, it's about the brand messaging. And I think you illustrated, that beautifully, just perfectly as it works for you. It's not always about logos on stuff. I think logos on stuff, there's obviously a place for that, but it's kind of old school. And I think the new way of thinking, and we've really touched on some really key things that people can take away from the show. And one of them is this idea that it's not always about logos on everything. It can be about helping your client create that brand message. It's going to help tell the story. Logo can be there, maybe smaller, but it's not that usual. Well, I mean, there's a place for this, okay?
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, we love this. Shameless plug for our friends at Sweetup. But
it tells a story, though. It's carrying
camp.
A message. There's a feel, there's a vibe, and there's something there. And Jeff, you're 100% right.
I think we need a slogan. We need to do that ourselves with tacos.
I'm working on some stuff, Jeff.
Well, tacos make everything better. That's it.
Tacos do TMEB. Tacos make everything better. Tacos up. We've got a few things to work from. We'll call our buddy Kirby and see if he can't figure out something to sublimate. Maybe make us a mug or two.
Exactly.
Listen, guys, we're running short. I don't mean to cut you off. I got a couple more things.
Where's Brandon?
Brandon's going to give us the hook. So not yet, Brandon. We got a couple more slides. We'll go quick. Maybe this show goes just a touch longer than 30 minutes. But guess what? I have some amazing stuff I can't wait to share with you. So first of all, Kirby, you have interviewed everybody. And you have interviewed all of my marketing heroes. You have all of my industry respected, people of just not just because they're important, but because of the value and the contributions that they've made over the years. So starting with Seth Godin at the top of the list, then we could say my wordsmith mentor, Ann Handley. Then you've had Mike Michalowicz, who's of just awesome. Then Jay Acunzo. A lot of people don't know Jay, and it's not just because it's a great name, but he's a really, really smart guy and has a tremendously good podcast. Our friend Paul Bellantone, who's leaving the industry after 457 years. We've got Tim Andrews, maybe not that long. Tim Andrews, great guy, amazing leader, ASI. Our friend Bobby Lee, which we've mentioned 3 or 4 times now, he's going to be super awkwardly embarrassed about that, which I love.
Right.
And my friend Cliff Quicksell, industry icon, great trainer, great speaker, also very connected to our industry, has walked the walk. One of the things I love about Cliff. And then this crazy guy, Brandon, I can't even say his last name right. Pekarich, Petarich, I don't know. Anyway, industry icon. Was Mark, who's this guy, Mark Graham? Was he your first?
Yeah. So it was, so I'd actually heard a statistic that said that the average web show at the time, 6.5 years ago, never made it to episode 5. So I had decided that by the time I wanted to have 5 in the can before I got started. So Jeff was actually one of my first. I think you were number 6 or something like that.
That was in the top 10.
Yeah, yes, for sure. But yeah, I reached out to Mark Graham, Jeff, Danny Rose, and Dana Zezzo, some folks who certainly have a lot of cachet and in our industry. But I had a relationship with, because I think when you're starting something new like this, they have to trust that you're not going to make them look dumb. Right. Like they have to, especially because there weren't a lot of folks doing this.
Well,
what's
you
this
knew
going
that
to look
wasn't
like?
going to happen with Mark Graham. You were worried about the opposite, right?
That he was going to make me look dumb.
Oh yeah.
Because he's so smart. Yeah.
Not what I meant, but yes, you got it. You know, I'm trying to throw shade on Mark and it's not possible. So, but the takeaway here is I sat there and I looked at this list and I was like, man, I bet Kirby's learned so much about marketing and so much about branding and the creative process and all of these guests. And there's no way you could encapsulate that and summarize that in 10 seconds or left now that Brandon's popped back in. But is there anything from those folks that stands out, Kirby, that you saw and you thought, damn, this is good stuff. This makes me want to dance, right? This makes me want to, you know, by dance, when I mean dance, I mean like jump in a costume or an outfit and dance.
That's right. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was one of the last ones.
Wow.
Yeah, so Kirby, which one are you?
So I'm the reindeer in the back.
Oh man, you're not in the front. You're not like I thought you were the front. You know, you were getting your moves on.
Oh, it depended on the moment, but that in that moment right there, it was
like
a snowstorm.
In the background, man. I love this. So back to reality. Honest question. Let's not be too silly. Can you give us in closing any key amazing? You know, you put out all this content. You've interviewed all these great folks. What are something that you could share with us that you've learned that's going to make a difference?
So the thing that pops into my head, and the person who articulated is Seth Godin, but you see it with all of those folks, is I think that there is a distinct difference between brand marketing and direct marketing. And we get it. We try to measure them as the same. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so direct marketing is that time where you send the email out and they click on the link and buy now. Those are measurable things. You put something out there and you can measure
transactional measurement.
Exactly. So that's direct marketing. Brand marketing is something that you do. I would say the Super Bowl ad for Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola does not expect you to leave the Super Bowl party and run to the store to buy a 2-liter of Coke, right? It's brand marketing. They're raising your awareness. So the next time you're at the store, you'll do it. What I would say is we need to start thinking of content as brand marketing. Right? It's not, when people say, what's the ROI? It's a very difficult question to answer, not because it doesn't work, but because it's not direct marketing. It's brand marketing. I think we need to think of it that way.
I love that. That's a great way to conclude and summarize. Words of wisdom from Kirby Hasseman. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just participated in a Marketing Taco, an episode with the man. Be kind, give first, give value. Love that stuff, Kirby. Yep. I can't get enough of it.
We have 2 quick questions from the crowd.
Oh, good.
Evelyn Flynn jumped in right at the beginning when you were talking about bringing in DyeSub into the office and what you were using it for. She said, why not just do spec samples from the supplier?
Jay kind of touched on this, to be honest with you. It had to do with control. If I have and what we did is we ordered a specific shirt and you know, sublimation, you have to have polyester-based shirts, right? And so I found a couple shirts that I personally really like. They're not the cheapest ones. They're not sort of traditional. It was almost like a tri-blend, but it was a heavy polyester count. And it was like, okay, I would wear this shirt. So I just bought a bunch of those that sit on the shelf downstairs. When I get an idea, we print it off. That's going to be later this afternoon, and we can go down and print one off. I struggle to do that with my traditional decorators. No knock on them. They're not set up to do one. And when I get an order for 288, I'll call them.
Listen,
and so that's
all
why
of the suppliers listening to this love Kirby more because he doesn't call them up and shut their production down for one spec sample. And truth be told, it's a really good question. I'm not picking on the person that asked.
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
But the reality is that I no one in production wants to stop production for one. So when you can do that in-house, you gain control and you can use it for more than just spec samples. But Kirby's answer was awesome.
Awesome. And one last one here. Melissa Newman, she asks, Kirby, what aspect of marketing do you enjoy the most?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks, Melissa. It depends on the day. If I'm being honest, like it depends. Like I always say that, you know, people will say you're an extrovert, you're an introvert. I think all of us are on a scale. And that day, and honestly, like it depends. Like most of the time I'm an extrovert, but there are times I don't want anybody in my face. I think the same thing is true of content, right? Like most of the time I really love video. It's sort of where I'm at. That's where I get the most creative flow from. That being said, I've written way more blogs in the last 2 to 3 months, and that's been super cathartic. And so for me, it really depends. And I don't know if that's a great answer, Melissa, but it really depends on sort of my mood and where I'm at. But that's sort of, for me, it depends on the day. And it's why I like dabbling in different things. So podcasting, video, blogging, I'm able to go, okay, this is what I feel like working on today.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. Hey, any last words from the talent Jeff back there?
No, it's a great show. I'm really happy that we hit on some really good, relevant points that the audience can take away from, you know, at least ponder and think differently, because it's a new world out there.
Yeah.
And you know, people are just product price selling is going to be more challenging. We just have to do a better job and be better ambassadors, for our industry. And yes, we love this picture. This is my greatest takeaway right here. Who's the snowman? I mean, the snowman's cool.
That's my wife.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then my daughter with her dog in the middle, and then her boyfriend is in the Daniel the Tiger costume. Like, these aren't exactly traditional holiday photos, but this was Christmas Eve. It was a giant snowstorm, and then we were handing out candy. We do a luminary on our street. Yep. And I was like, it's a great experiment. How many people will take candy from a stranger in the middle of a pandemic?
In the middle of a snowstorm. That's awesome.
The answer is a lot. Just in case you're wondering.
There are plenty of crazy people in Ohio. Those giving the candy and those taking the candy.
Right.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up with a nice tacos up, and thank you everybody for watch today.
Brandon. Thank
you guys crushed it. Kirby, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. This is Tacos Live. It is on Promo Corner on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of every month. And then on those other Tuesdays, you can always catch the episodes on the freepromotips.com, on their Facebook page or on their webpage. And they also have the live versions up there too. I record these and edit them and usually get them to Jeff in a timely fashion, usually. But they are in a bunch of locations. So we hope to see you guys next Tuesday for tacos. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kirby.
Bye.
Thanks.